Hey, everybody, welcome to this week's episode of the podcast. On this week's episode, you'll see things a little bit differently. Typically, this is a video podcast, but we had a little bit of trouble with the video, and I did not want to put an hour long conversation. It's a great conversation, but I did not want to put an hour long conversation with poor video quality on here for you guys to watch. All right, everybody, welcome to this week's episode of the Oh Hell Yeah podcast. I've got a guest on the line here, so let's go ahead and get into it. All right, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm Jim. I'm Jim Putney from No Loves. My band started in St. Petersburg, Florida in 1996. I'm the sole original founding member, main singer-songwriter. We were down there until 2014. Our guitar player, Curtis McCall, joined the band, I think, around 2007. We put out our first record in 2012 on Stiff Pull Records called Fully Loaded. And that's a long time to go from for big a band to putting out your first record. But, it is what it is. It was like hiatuses and shit. We didn't really take it very seriously. But our second show ever was opening for New Bomb Turks at the State Theater, which was pretty rad. Things just kind of went from there. We did recordings and stuff, but we didn't really get serious until, 2011, 2012, put a record out. In 2014, I had the opportunity to move up to Nashville, Tennessee due to a job transfer. And I probably wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for Curtis. His family's out of North Carolina. I had some time to think about it. Me and him decided to move to Nashville, and that meant that the band moved to Nashville. Took us like a year to find a drummer, and we had an old bass player from Florida just decide to move to Nashville. So out of nowhere, we're the No Loves in Tennessee. We already had some songs recorded. In 2017, we put out our second record, Plum Crazy. We started touring here and there more frequently, and it's just become a lot more serious at that point. And kind of the rest is history. We have a new record coming out on Coffin Curse Records called Jimbo's House. And we've been working with the same artist for a long time, Greg Raynell. He does great work. There's some consistency in our artwork. Our band is a punk rock band. We are very much a old school punk rock band. But with that said, I've always been an open-minded musician and songwriter. In my early years, by the way, I'm turning 53 next month. I know I don't look it, but what that means to me is that there were a lot of phases I went through. I've listened to post-punk, Killing Joke, Jesus Lizard, Birthday Party, Big Black. Those were phases I went through after my initial being into the Ramones and the Clash and all the typical stuff and Screeching Weasel and all that kind of stuff. So my whole thing is I pick up all these tricks along the way. I don't emulate anybody. I'm not reinventing the wheel either, but I write most of the music, and a lot of things that I do are just kind of like a big cornucopia of different things. And if you listen to a No Loves record, from beginning to end, it will remind you of a lot of things that you've already heard, and you may hear more than one thing in the same song at times. And that's kind of, if there's any uniqueness to what we do, it's that. And I take pride in doing what just comes natural to me. If a lot of times music just comes to me first. Sometimes lyrics come to me quick, but it's not uncommon for me to have a really cool musical idea that will just sit with me for years until I feel like the lyrics are just right. And so I often joke that a No Love song is like a diamond, and that sometimes it takes quite a while to form. And if I didn't have a full-time job, who knows? I might be as a prolific songwriter as Paul Westerberg. You never know. But we just do what we do. We love to tour. We love to be hams. We love to perform for people. It doesn't bother me that we don't draw a shitload of people or anything like that. I'm at a point in my life where I have to define success as that we're still doing it, the ability to do it and get something out of it is success to me. And I don't really know any other way to put it. I mean, I put a lot of money into it at this time. We probably are more invested into it. We probably learned from a lot of mistakes as far as how important content is and all that kind of shit. And it's a lifelong journey. I'm never going to quit until I physically can't anymore. So we're going to keep on doing what we do. And if all of a sudden it catches on and I can quit my day job, that'd be great. But I'm not losing sleep over it. I love that we're still doing it. I'm stoked about what me and Mike are about to put out. And anyway, any questions, Mike?
Well, I have a ton of questions. So you mentioned Jimbo's House, the new record. That's the first record that you guys are going to be dropping on Coffin Curse, and so that has been well over a year-long process for those who
Yeah.
aren't in the know, and not a lot of people are in the know because we've kind of kept this to the
Yeah.
hip. But
Yeah.
this record, you guys finished recording it well over a year ago, right?
Here's what happened. We put out Plum Crazy, and that we've never had a record like okay, well, the first record was consistently the same lineup from beginning to end. The second record was like 6 songs that were just going to be an EP, and then when life changed things to where we had to move up here, we kind of put that on hiatus. And then we made the decision to record more. And so that record is a blend of different sessions. It's 3 different sessions to make one record. This record is the most consistent thing that we've done with the same lineup. Before COVID happened, we wanted to do like 7-inch singles and just do like a couple songs here and there. And then when we would get to the point where we had a lot of that material, then we would probably maybe do like a compilation of all those songs and just call it a record, because it's just a lot to do vinyl and everything like that. As soon as the pandemic happened, we made the decision to go for it and just do a third full length because we're not playing out. So we did some tracking with Elliot Varula. We were going to do half the record and then come back months later and do another half. Well, he had some things go on where he had to shut his studio down. We were fortunate enough to get referred to Matt Yonker, Matt Drastic, and we did the second half of the record with him. So what I'm happy about is that it's the same lineup throughout the entire record. That was important to me. I wanted the same lineup. I didn't want to have band member changes or anything like that. I wanted to be the same group of guys, do the entire record. It didn't go exactly as planned. I mean, we didn't do everything at the same studio, but we took our sweet time. I mean, we had songs that we put out some singles here and there, but yeah, I mean this record has been in the works since 2020.
Wow, yeah.
And that's just how it goes, I mean, but it was the same lineup from beginning to end, and we made the choice to have Matt remix the songs that Elliot did, just to have like more of a consistent kind of thing going. And this is the most consistent sounding record that we have done. If you listen to it from beginning to end, he did a great job of making all of it sound like it was done at the same studio and that kind of thing. So I'm proud of it. It's probably the best thing we've done. We made a consistent effort to, take some advice. There's some music promotion PR guys that I follow, because I just don't want to keep making the same mistakes. So, like the last couple of records, we were not as content savvy about what you can do online. We're old school dudes, and it just took a while for us to learn some of the things we need to do. We hired a PR firm, Havoc Underground, our Dial Drive buddies down in Florida. He's helped us as far as getting on playlists and things like that. And with the full length coming out, I'll be doing interviews that he's setting up. And I love this shit, man. I'm a ham. I love talking about the band, and we're not some big success story, but I love talking about it. I love that people are interested in talking to me about it. So that's part of it. But we made the effort to do put a single out every 6 to 8 weeks. So we did 3 singles. The unrequited single did very well. I don't know what we did right. I really don't. I mean, like by the end of the weekend, it had 1,500 plays, over 1,000 plays of the video on YouTube. I don't know what we did right. I really don't, because the next two kind of pale in comparison. And I would like to think that we kind of did all the same things, but for whatever reason, that first single just took off. And now the pressure's on, because this single, a song called Spectrum, A Loving Push, is to me probably the best song I've ever written. We strategically have placed this song to be the song, the single that comes out with the full length. And I say that because that's one of those pieces of music that I wrote 10 years ago. I've had this music forever. And sometimes the better the music, this is my problem. The better the musical piece is, the more pressure there is on me to have lyrics that match what I think the music deserves. And so it's almost like the writer's block for lyrics for me is much worse the better the music is. And again, if I didn't have to work all the damn time and be a dad and all the shit you got to do, I might be a more prolific writer, and I might have gotten it done sooner. But it literally took me 10 years to get this song written.
Yeah.
And somewhere along the line, we decided to write it about my autistic son. He is now about to turn 16, and enough time has passed that I've got enough material. I don't know, it's like a light went off. Like my wife even helped me with some of the lyrics. But we knew we needed to finish this record. We knew there was pressure on me to finish lyrics. This song to me is the best thing that I've ever done. And I say that because of the strength of the music, as far as the hooks, everything. But the lyrical content is probably as personal as I have ever gotten. Because, I mean, let's face it, a lot of no love songs are pretty fucking ridiculous. Okay, I mean, some of our shit is like the Dwarves, where we are totally looking to shock and have fun and fuck being PC and stuff like that. Even though I'm lean pretty left, and you know what I mean, I'm not like un-PC in the wrong way, if you know what I mean. Anyway, this song to me is by far the best thing I've ever done. And I feel like if it doesn't perform as well as Unrequited, I'm going to be a little bummed out. But you know what? That's life. Okay. Hopefully, and we literally filmed the music video for it last night.
Wow. Yeah. Does the video have the same? Does the video match the song's content thematically?
So we found on Peerspace a sound stage that is a really big room where half of it's black, half of it's white. And we brought my kid in, and we filmed some footage of just him cutting up and jumping up and down and just being him and looking in the camera. Of course, wearing a No Loves t-shirt. So we did that first. And so then we did the band performing. So what we're shooting for is like I use okay, so if you've ever seen the Social Distortion video for their song Cold Feelings.
Yeah.
So you know that's like a black and white, like high contrast thing.
Yeah.
And what would be white, a lot of it's like a very violet blue. So I kind of am modeling that off of their video. There'll be some differences, but because you have this song Spectrum, and there's gonna be it's gonna be like a high contrast black and white where we wanted the blacks to be as black as possible, the whites as so anything that you see that would be white will have a color to it. So you'll have like there'll be moments where it's like hot, like angry red, moments where it's cold blue, all with a black background. And so that's about as close to the theme of when you think of the word spectrum, but there'll be shots of the band, or there'll be shots of my kid just being him. And you never, like with him, you just never, you put him in a situation and you just never know how he's going to act. He was very intimidated by being in front of these cameras and lights. And
I can imagine.
yeah, I mean, I was hoping he was going to be like loving it and being a ham, but no, he was scared by it. Like it was like a sensory overload thing. And in some ways, it's very appropriate. I mean, not that we're trying to torture him or anything like that, okay, but he is autistic, and it was very clear that he's autistic by the way he acted in that situation, and we didn't push it. We spent like a half hour filming him, and he's going to be edited into it. It's about him.
Yeah.
But the song, the lyrics are really about what it's like to be a parent raising an autistic child.
What's your son's name?
Our experience. He plays drums. There's lines about him playing drums. He's not a great drummer, okay? But I mean, there's lines about him playing the drums. He loves the Ramones. There's music that I've turned him on to. There's lyrics about that. But it's just an incredibly personal song. And it's going to be a very simple video where it's band performance and him and lots of different colors and things like that. Yeah.
What's his name?
Well, he's a junior. He is a James David Putney Jr.
Oh, nice.
And we just call him JJ.
Jimbo too.
Yeah. Yep. Pretty much.
So you mentioned Matt Yonker, Matt Drastic. For those tuning into this podcast, that's a name that you might not know, but you'll know the band that he's from. So Matt is the drummer in Less Than Jake. So having the drummer from Less Than Jake produce or help engineer a portion of your record is pretty damn cool. And of course, Elliot Varula is a Nashville local who's been in a ton of bands. He's currently in why am I forgetting their name?
Hans Condor.
He's currently in Hans Condor, but he's been in El Escapado.
Yeah.
I mean, he's been in and out. I mean, he was in Mayron's. He's been in probably every Nashville band you can. Was he ever in No Loves?
Nah, but he did some background vocals on the record, and the tracks that we worked on with him, he was a gigantic help with like harmonies and things like that. He's a close friend of ours. Love the guy. He just had so much going on that we just couldn't finish the record with him, and he fortunately referred us to Matt. And Matt's great. I mean, we really feel comfortable with that guy. He knows a lot of the same Florida people that I came up with. He's familiar with Stiff Pole, the record that I came up with. One of the bands in St. Pete that I came up with was the Go to Hells. I don't know if you're familiar with them, but Hunter, Down by Law, all that. I've known that guy since grade school, and he knows all those people, and he knows Heidi from who was in this band called the Starlets, and the Pink Lincolns people, and everybody that I knew down in Florida that I came up with. So me and him, when we get together, we just have so much to talk about. It's just great. So there's that aspect of it, and what I also love about Matt is just how patient he is with us. Especially if a motherfucker like Curtis, our guitar player, that you have to be patient with that guy. I love him to death, but it's like a brotherhood where if you know, you know.
Yeah. So tell me about. I have a question for you that's So, of the videos you've released so far for Jimbo's house, there has been, if not more than one, I know at least one video featured your previous bass player, the gentleman who played bass on the album but is no longer in the band. He's featured in a video. Was that just to be like, hey, you're on the record, why don't you be in this video?
Here's so it's an interesting situation. Okay, so our current like that's Alex,
Yes.
Alex K, and he moved to ironically he moved to Tampa, which is the area that we're from. He had a list of he's going for his PhD. He already had his
Yeah.
master's degree, so
Yeah.
he's going for his PhD, and it's so ironic that he picked USF in Tampa because that's right by where we grew up. He happened to pick where our band's from, so he moved down there. Had to leave the band. Enter Jeff Fireball. Okay, and that's our current bass player. He is not on the record. Jeff Fireball is a consummate pro. People know Jeff from Hillbilly Casino mainly. That's the main band that he's with. He was in BR 549. He's done a lot of cool shit. He's done way cooler shit than we've done. And I just walked into his wife's shop one day, knowing he was there. Totally scared to go in there. I was so afraid he was gonna shoot me down, dude. So I just went in there. I'm like, hey, just listen to my record. I want you to join my band. I already knew enough about him that I knew he was perfect for us. I was like, just listen to the record. Don't tell me no right now. Just listen to the record. And he did, and he was all about it. Okay.
Yeah.
But the reason he's not in Hillbilly Casino is that he's at an age now where he's not about like the long touring and stuff like that. He's over big long road trips. He's like a year older than me or so. And Alex, he didn't really want to quit the band. It was just kind of out of necessity because he's pursuing school. But we came up with an arrangement that Alex would be a touring bass player with us.
Okay.
We would work out the longer tours would be with Alex, the things that Jeff does not want to do. Jeff is down with doing like the quick weekend thing, like Friday, Saturday, and coming home, or even maybe Friday through Saturday and coming home within this just immediate radius of regional kind of stuff. Okay. So we did the unrequited video of Jeff, even though he didn't play on it. He did the video because he's here. Okay. I mean, as far as budget concerns, I mean, the unrequited video is expensive. The one we just did is expensive. So we kind of we made the decision. So we did we went out to Vegas during Punk Rock Bowling and we played for the Vegas Turbo Jugend. They have a big party where they have a party like at with bands like every night that the festival's happening. So we had already got lined up with that. Alex agreed to do that. So when we did the Seize the Day video, we decided we're going to be as low budget as possible. Part of that was just saving money. You know what I mean? So we decided with our phones, we're just going to take as much footage of us cutting up, driving around. We got a little bit of footage of us playing those shows for Turbo Jugend, footage of us playing slot machines and doing fun shit in Vegas, So our guy that does our work, our videos, we just sent him all that footage and say, hey, just make a video out of this. I mean, so in some ways, I mean, I think it's appropriate that if Alex is on the record, he should be in a music video here and there,
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah, so that was part of it. Second video, the third video, Kids Want Action, was not going to have any kind of like pre-planned band performances or anything like that. Our buddy Joey from El Escapado and Crystal, they're good friends of ours. They were the stars of our unrequited video with like the side plot and stuff like that. So we decided to bring them back for the third video to do like a cameo where the song was Kids Want Action, which is all about Youthful Rebellion and stuff like that. So they were playing they were doing their roles, and so we did for a different vibe, black and white. We made no effort to put the band in that. There was no effort to have a sound stage or set up the gear or anything like that. So we did footage that was available to our guy in like this old church that's now used for filming and stuff like that. So we had a basketball court and things like that. So we did a lot of filming of just me and the two of them. There's a middle section where you see the band performing, and all that is us. I think we were in Queens. We went on tour, the bigger tour that we did this year. Alex was with us, so you have footage of Alex and that, and it's just a quick clip. Right. This video for Spectrum that's about to come out is just like Unrequited, where we went all out, where we went to a soundstage. Place called Brain Candy, which if anybody's interested, it's just rad, dude. The place is huge. You have half the room white, half the room black, and it's gigantic. And I'll go there anytime. And now I've got like a cheaper rate now that I got the business card. So anyway, just quick plug to them. But Jeff is back in the fold as far as being in a music video. Okay. He's in our band. He's more of like the core guy now. Any recording that we do now is Jeff Fireball on bass. Alex is part of the band. His role is touring. And we try to work the touring around him. And we won't rule out bringing in a third guy if that's what we got to do. It's kind of like a bass player by committee thing that we're doing these days. Whereas Jeff is the number one as far as who's with us all the time, playing Nashville shows, anything we do in Knoxville, Memphis, anywhere that we can do within a weekend, if it's a short trip, is always going to be Jeff. Anything we record from now is always going to be Jeff. Alex is just part of our family to where if we need to do a big trip, he jumps in.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where we're at, and that's why you see him in some videos, and now you're about to see one of Jeff, and it may seem confusing to people that are following us, but that's all it is.
You said something earlier that I just now dawned on me. You mentioned earlier that this record has kind of been in the fold, in the mix, in the planning since around 2020, but it just dawned on me. So I put out a compilation album in 2020 that No Loves were on, and you gave the song Bullied Kid to that comp that came out in 2020, which was almost literally it was January. It was released January 1st, 2021. So it's when your new record comes out, that song will have been almost 3 years ago that it was released initially, and it's on your new album. So yeah. I mean that just shows you this album's been at least 3 years in the making, which is wild. But we also have had quite a tumultuous experience for getting the album finished. So we ordered the vinyl. I think if my brain serves me correctly, we ordered the vinyl 9 months ago. Does that sound right to you, Jim?
Yeah, it's crazy how fast that got here, right?
Yeah, we ordered we sent the vinyl off to the pressing plant. I believe right at the very beginning of 2023, with the intentions that it was going to be a 6 to 8 month turnaround, which is what I was told. And then 4 months later, holy shit, those fuckers showed up.
Yeah, so, I know. And in this world of post-COVID and everything with vinyl, who would have ever thought, right?
Yeah. But here's where the story gets even funnier. So with all the delays that Coffin Curse, that my label has experienced so many delays over the last 3 years due to COVID and vinyl and all of the bullshit. So the one record that has no delays, the one record that shows up physically, the vinyl shows up 4 months before the release date, and we're sitting there going, "Holy shit, this stuff! We're have to sit on this for 4 months. That's crazy." Now, fast forward to your release show's 2 weeks away, and we still don't have the jackets in because the artwork took forever to get done. Not an attack on your artist, but it's just a little inside baseball. We ordered the actual LPs separate. We ordered the LPs from a company in Taiwan, the company is called Mobinico. They're the only place I've ever used for vinyl. I love them. They've had crazy delays, but for some reason with your record, they were just like, fuck it, let's get this done quick.
I know, man.
But the actual paper, everything else when you pick up a copy of this Nolos record, the actual vinyl that you put on your turntable, that's been sitting in our homes for months now. But every piece of paper, as of October, whatever today is, October 17th, when we're recording this episode, we still haven't even placed the order for the paper for the inserts and for the jackets.
Right, the absolute opposite of what anybody else has dealt with over these years. Right, it's gonna happen. I mean, the fact that he got me the cover was huge. He is very meticulous. And the way he sees it is if his name is going to be on it, and he takes a lot of pride in what he does, he insists on him being happy with it. He knows there's a deadline. He is used to this. I have every bit of faith that we will have jackets in time for that record release. The album will be out for streaming when we have a record release party anyway, but yes, it would mean a lot to me to have actual vinyl in hand on my record release party on my birthday. Yeah. He can at least do that for a birthday present. So, but it really does sound like it's going to happen. If we're talking a 10-day turnaround, it should really be any day now, and I will be calling him soon, like I've called him many times during this process. It's stressful. But the beauty of working with him is he is so good at what he does that as frustrated as we get, when we get it, we love him to death once we look at it. So this is a fun album cover too, with all the Waffle House spoof stuff. The back of it's going to be Waffle House spoof related too, and it's going to be funny as hell.
It's awesome. Let's hope we don't get sued like Demon Waffle did.
Yeah, right. We got a good problem on our hands if we do. Let's put it that way. If they even know about us, we're doing something right.
Yeah, there's a local I guess part of the band's Johnson City, part of the band's Knoxville, a ska punk band from the area, from East Tennessee, called Demon Waffle. They've been around for well over a decade. Pretty popular band. They don't play that often. They did a Waffle House spoof T-shirt design. So it was Waffle House logo, but said Demon Waffle, and it wasn't a record. It was the only thing it was for a T-shirt. They put those on sale pre-order before they were even able to sell out of the pre-order and actually produce the shirts. It was one of those things where, and a lot of bands are doing this now. I've done this multiple times with the label. You design the item, you make a mock-up, you sell X amount of units, and then once you sold enough to pay to produce the shirts or whatever it is you're selling, then you actually send it to production. Before they were able to submit the order with the actual company that was making the shirts, Waffle House ceased and desisted them and forced them to not produce the shirts. So if I remember correctly, they returned everyone's money and the shirts were never made. But again, the difference is they were tagging Waffle House. They were, they were adding Waffle. So they were doing things to get attention from Waffle House, thinking that would probably help them with promotion. We aren't going to be doing that with this record. There's not going to be any hashtag Waffle House for a promo for Jimbo's house.
Right.
And I say all this as a joke anyway, because it's very much the layout and the artwork for your record is very much covered under not spoof law. What's it called? Like what Weird Al does.
Yeah, it's a parody. You know what I mean? My thing is this. Again, if we have to deal with it, you reminded me I got a beer here, by the way.
Yeah, I'm drinking Corona. I'm drinking Corona non-alcoholic. Not because I don't drink alcohol. Not because I don't drink alcohol, but because I just wanted to try them.
Ironically, this is a Corona as well, and it is the alcoholic version.
Yeah. Well, it's funny enough. This is Corona non-alcoholic. It doesn't taste like Corona, but I also neglected to get limes. So Corona non-alcoholic. I like Corona. My review of the NA version is it's dog shit.
All right, I'm sorry. I don't mean
It
to
tastes
rub
like
it.
water. I mean, it really, really just tastes like
Oh
water.
man, oh man, I didn't know they made it, but I
Yeah.
feel for you, brother. I digress. Um, you know what's funny about the whole Waffle House thing is, as soon as I had the idea to do this, all of a sudden I started seeing Waffle House spoofs everywhere, everywhere. Like Muddy Root this past year did a Waffle House spoof with their shirts and some of their stuff. Um, one of my best friends, Tyler Miller, um, trying to get by, they
Yeah.
did Scoffle House.
Yeah.
So, and he didn't know we were doing what we're doing and stuff. But okay, bud, no problem. Just a second. I had to deal with some family stuff there.
Too loud
Anyway,
for it.
yeah, but like all of a sudden I started seeing it left and right. So all of a sudden it became trendy, and I'm like, God damn, we're gonna seem like we're the followers, but who gives a shit? I mean, we have a funny idea, and we're rolling with it, and we're
Hey, that's
far in.
the way it goes, though, dude. If you know it's okay. So, say you've decided, you know what? I need a new car. I think I'm gonna buy a Hyundai Santa Fe. I don't see Santa Fe's on the road that often. The day you buy a Santa Fe on your drive home, you're going to pass 40 of them because
Right.
you do pass them every day. You do see them every day. You just don't notice them until you're in the car. So people have probably it's been popular probably for a decade to spoof Waffle House. You just haven't noticed it because the idea
Right.
wasn't in your head.
Right. Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, the album cover is great. If you're listening to this podcast, you'll be able to see the album cover throughout. And so, talk about the release show. You do have a release show, and the game plan is obviously, like we said, we're hopeful that the jackets will be in time, so the vinyl will be for sale at the release show. The day of the release show, your record will drop on all streaming platforms, Bandcamp, Spotify, everything you can imagine, all the digital
Yep.
platforms. Worst case scenario, you'll definitely have CDs for sale at the release show, but the game plan is to have the vinyl, and you tell us about the actual the show itself.
Yeah. So I mean, some of my friends here in the Nashville scene, if their birthday falls on a weekend, like KD from El Escapado, he would do Stick Fest. Okay, popular guy. Everybody loves him. Everybody misses him. But when he has a big blowout party, it's like a multi-band thing. Our buddy Whack, and Tank Rats, he does Whack Bash, and I'm like, damn, the timing of my record release is right around my birthday. My birthday's on a Saturday. Record's called Jimbo's House. We're gonna do Jimbo Bash. So the idea was I wanted to do it kind of festival style anyway, where we'd have like bands in the front room of Cobra, bands in the main room. And at first I was told that they already had the front room booked, and then something happened where that didn't happen. So I decided, okay, I'm going to do a 5-band thing in the front room. But then we got the call that Daikaiju, which is a wild surf kind of band,
Very,
Shogun style.
very popular.
Yes. So they wanted to play there, and Cobra just started having shows on the outside deck. They redid their back deck to have shows. In fact, the Queers are playing there this coming weekend with Marins, my drummer's other band, and Rip Taylor is a great band. So Elliot told them what we've got going on, and he gave them the opportunity to either do their own show on the back deck or be a part of our show. And then he just had to check in with me to see if I was cool with it. I'm absolutely cool with it because they're going to bring in like 200 plus people. Okay.
Yeah.
And so normally at the Cobra, everybody gets it for free, and then you just pay if you want to go into the main room. And if you don't want to pay, you're just at the bar. Well, now they're making this kind of a festival thing where if you walk in the front door, you are paying, and the price went up to $20 day of the show, $15 in advance. So now it's going to be alternating bands like I wanted all along. We've got Joey from O Escapado's other band, Alki. They're going to open it up. Our really good friend Second Self are going to play inside after that. And then you go back outside. Really cool band called the Reppertons are going to play outside. And then after Reppertons, we will play right in the middle in the main room. And then you go back outside, and our good buddy Some Kind of Nightmare will be playing outside. And then you come back in, and it's Daikaiju. So we have a night of 6 bands where it's alternating back and forth. Daikaiju will headline. And I'm getting what I want. I don't want to play last.
Yeah.
On my birthday, I want to play in the middle, and then I want to be able to mingle and have fun and party with everybody else. So I'm getting what I want. And we're gonna sell a bunch of shit, hopefully, and everybody, because Daikaiju are playing, all of our friends are gonna play to a lot more people than they normally would, and we're really hoping it's gonna be a special night.
Yeah, I'm excited. Yeah, I'm having big time FOMO on that one because you asked my band to play and we couldn't fit it into our schedule because we've got a crazy November. So I'm having a lot of FOMO, but fuck it, I'm going to be there. I'm excited.
Yeah, well, if you wanted to come and you want somewhere to crash, I've got you. Okay, you can crash at my house.
Well, I appreciate that. I'm 100% coming. I can't guarantee I'll be able to stay the night because I've got a sick dog and dealing with all that stuff. So it might be one of those things where I get to the show right when it starts, and as soon as it ends, I hit home and get home in the middle of the night. But honestly, I'll probably try not to do that just because, the show will probably end around 1 a.m. If that's 1 a.m. Nashville time, that's 2 a.m. my time.
Oh,
so if I left Nashville, I wouldn't get home till about 5 a.m. anyway. So what's the point? That's just unsafe. So I will probably take you up on that offer.
All right. Well, look, here's what I know. I know that the outdoor curfew is 9:30, and that means that Daikaiju, we're probably gonna be wrapped up by 11. Really?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad at all. So.
Cobra shows are weird. I've played Cobra where the shows ended at 1. I've played Cobra where it ended at 10.
Yeah. This one's gonna be more like 11, something like that.
Yeah. What time do the doors open?
I think it's going to be where a lot like the doors shut for the general public, where you have to pay around 6:30, and the first band will start around 7.
Cool.
Yeah.
And are there tickets for sale on the Cobra's website?
Yeah, if you go to the Cobra site and you find the link, there's an Eventbrite link, and if you go to the event page for Jimbo Bash, either by looking at the No Loves events or the other bands. In fact, you can just go to Daikaiju's page, and it should be on there. You can just click on the event page, and you'll see the Eventbrite link. But yeah, you pay $15 if you just buy in advance. And we would like as many people to buy in advance as possible for obvious reasons. It's cheaper for you, nice. And then you're more likely to show up if you pay for it in advance instead of being like a last minute party pooper and not come out.
You'd be shocked though, man. I promoted a show at the place I had you guys booked last time you played, East Tennessee at the Bird in the Book. I promoted a show at the Bird in the Book before the time you played here was April 22nd. So probably a month prior, I promoted a show there with a pretty big name and sold 100 tickets. That space is pretty small, and I think if I remember correctly, their sellout was 99. So I sold 100 tickets, and I'm the one that ran the door that night. And literally, it was great weather. It was like March, and it wasn't terrible weather. I don't think it was raining or anything. It was that nice, cool early spring weather. 76 people showed up. There was like 24 tickets that just didn't show up.
Wow!
I was like, God damn, 24 tickets. That was I've never had that happen before. It was bizarre.
Wow.
But hey,
hard to understand.
I don't mind getting free $240.
Yeah, right.
Any dumbass that buys a ticket doesn't show up just gave me a donation. The way I look at it.
But you know what, dude? I mean, I mean, I think most musicians will tell you that that feeling of people being there appreciating you is
Yeah.
way better than how much money you walk with at the end of the night. I mean, and money's important because it pays for the gas to the next city. We all know that, but I would much rather be a ham and have people enjoying what I'm doing and feeling that appreciation than anything else. That's number one for me. I mean, I just get more out of it instead of just playing to myself, and
Yeah.
you know, that's just it.
Yeah. That's why I actually really enjoy. They don't happen very often, but I very much enjoy a free show, a show that you can, if it's a local only show, those types of shows where you've got three
Yeah.
bands on a Friday or a Saturday that are all from the city that you're promoting the show in, and you can just say, fuck it, let's just make it free and pack this place. I love those types of
Right.
shows.
In fact, like I put that out there for this show. Like I would have. My thing was, I said to Elliot, I will pay for all the overhead to make this a free show because I really wanted the turnout, and they were not feeling it because they have a whole system in place where the bartenders and the staff have to be paid. And so it's not as simple as just paying an overhead for one sound guy. When he explained it to me, now I understand it a lot more. That they do it this way so that they can be more consistent with what they do.
Yeah.
But it used to be at the Cobra that you had to supply the door person,
Yeah. Which
and
I hated.
and you had
Yeah.
to pay the sound guy, and
Yeah.
that fucking blows. Okay, and I used to dread playing shows there before Elliot got involved.
Yeah.
Elliot changed a lot of things, and when we had a talk and he explained a lot of this to me, now I understand, and now it's so much better for the bands that play there. Really
Yeah.
is. So I'm not going to ever ask to play for free there again. There's certain places you can play where you play for free, and most of us don't give a damn because we just want to have a good time and have a lot of people there. You know what I mean? But they do the things they do for a reason. But I'm with you. I mean, I'll do anything to get people in the door, and if that means playing for free, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
I'm more about the exposure for
Yeah, I
sure.
feel it. There's two questions I like to wrap the show up with. And the first question is, in the best of your memory, can you recall your gateway to punk rock?
I can. I went to a private school, um, where I got driven to a private school away from my neighborhood. I didn't get to be around like my neighborhood kids. And around the time that I got into music, my parents had a record player and they had like Johnny Cash records. And my first record was a Kiss record that I asked
Awesome.
for, and they got it for me. And I
Do you
would
remember?
listen.
Do you remember which Kiss record?
Oh my God. I want to say Hotter Than Hell.
That's a good one.
Yeah, pretty sure it was. Yeah. Um, that's not my gateway to punk rock. I'm trying to retrace some steps here. So I had always been listening to vinyl at a very young age, like 12 years old on. I was at this private school, and I'm 9 years old in 1980. By 1982, I was already kind of interested in music and listening to my parents' records, and we would hear like all the stuff on the radio, like New Wave, The Police, Duran Duran, all the popular stuff, right? So, I mean, it's almost embarrassing, because those are not punk rock bands per se, but it was like the really popular new wave bands that
Yeah.
really kind of piqued my interest. Okay. What's funny is punk rock was the gateway to make that commercial shit happen, right? But that commercial shit was my gateway to retrace how that happened in the first place, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So by the time 1985, and this is just how old I am, right? By the time like 85, 86 comes around, um, there was suddenly kids in my school who were clearly punk rock who were older than me. I went to a private school where it was grade school all the way to high school. Okay. And so here I am, like 14, 15 years old, and there's these older kids that were clearly dressed very different that I started, checking out what they were into. And a buddy of mine gave me one of those extended play cassette tapes. I mean, I had already kind of figured out that the Clash were a thing. I mean, I was listening, by that time, I was listening to cassette tapes. So I like at that point, I decided I'm going to get the Ramones' first record on cassette. I got Nevermind the Bollocks on cassette, and I got the first Clash record. I got all three of the big three, their first records on cassette tape. And I wore those out to no end. All three, Clash, Ramones, and Pistols, okay? And then a buddy of mine gives me a cassette he burned, and it's the Replacements. And it's a Let It Be on one side, and it's Tim on the other. And in some ways, those Replacements records just really changed everything. You know, I mean, I already knew what was important at that point, but those two records on the same cassette, and I had never heard them before. Wow. Everything changed for me and that period of, like, I want to say 1986 was really formative. And around that time, I mean, I kind of, was too young to drive or all that. The bands back in Tampa, there was bands like Pink Lincolns, who are well known now. Belching Penguins. The drummer in Belching Penguins went on to be the drummer in Helmet.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. No Fraud, another Tampa band. There was a band called Psycho Tribe, and they ended up being like my favorite band. And that's how I started getting into like post-punk stuff, like Killing Joke. I was a huge Killing Joke fan for the longest time, and that's post-punk. Okay. Jesus Lizard. I went through a phase where I just kind of decided everything associated with underground music, if it's heavy, I'm going to give it a shot. And a lot of those things affected how I played guitar. It affected how I viewed chords and how to like emulate, like, augmented chords. It affected grooves, how I saw music. And so I went through a phase where I really experimented with my guitar playing. And I was in a band where I was just the guitar player for a while in the early 90s, and we had a singer. Even though my first band, I was the singer. It got to a point, though, where when I decided I wanted to be a singer again, I went right back to my roots of everything that got me into punk rock in the first place. But there's all these tricks that I picked up along the way. And so to this day, shit that I learned from listening to Killing Joke shows up in No Love songs.
Yeah.
It's like, we are a punk rock band and we are a rock and roll band. And we are too rock and roll for some punk rock people, and we are too punk rock for some rock and roll people. And we are a lot of things all at the same time. And so everything that I've ever listened to, I'm not in the mood to listen to all of it all the time. Some of it's very dated. But I feel like all these years of experiences and things that I've been exposed to and being willing to try new things have kind of just made me who I am. And again, I'm not reinventing the wheel, but I'm at a place where when I come up with musical ideas, I just do what comes naturally to me. And if it feels
Yeah.
right and it feels worthwhile, the lyrics will come. Music always comes first, but I'm not afraid to step out of what's expected of a punk rock band. I am not trying to emulate anybody. But I'm not afraid to just draw on all these things that I've picked up along the way. And that's the
I hear
only
you.
thing that I can say about what I do, that I think that it's not like I'm unique or anything like that. It's just I've got the years invested in it of being open-minded that mean that I feel like I do quality work.
Yeah.
And that's it.
I feel you on the replacements, dude. I as a kid, one of the first music videos, I mean, obviously I was born in 1980, so being a child of the 80s like you are as well, um, I have those memories of the big videos, the Sweet Child of Mine video, and the obviously all the early Michael Jackson videos, of course, Thriller. But for me, the video that really caught my attention and just I was really invested in it. It just made me really. It was just it just kind of blew my mind, was that replacements video, that there's nothing going on. It's just it's a dude in black and white sitting in his living room. You see him sit down in front of his stereo, and then it's like the speaker just rumbles throughout the video. There's nothing to the video. They probably spent
Right,
$20 making it.
right,
But
right.
it literally, as like a 5, 6, 7-year-old kid, it fucking blew my mind. It's still to this day when I'll go to YouTube and watch that video, fucking sick video. I would love not to rip it off, but I would love to see bands do something similar.
I hate to interrupt, but one thing I haven't told you is the current project we're doing with Matt Yonker is a 4-song EP of covers,
Yeah,
and we are doing Bastards of Young.
yeah, yeah.
We're,
You've actually told me that.
yeah, okay, so we're
Yeah,
doing Bastards of Young, we're doing Nobody's Hero, Stiff Little Fingers song, we're doing Johnny Thunder's Born to Lose, and we're doing Are You Ready by Thin Lizzy.
that's great.
So, but yeah, the replacements to me are like in my top 5 all time. And you're absolutely right. That video is a statement.
Yeah,
And they didn't want to do music videos. You know, they were made to do music videos. They did everything they could to sabotage themselves
yeah, yeah.
to be
But then
successful.
ended up making a perfect artistic statement.
Right,
Not
right.
meaning to. Obviously, the direction in their mind was to be trolls, to be assholes, and
Yeah,
then they made like the perfect artistic statement.
yeah.
So, last question I have for everybody that's going to be on this podcast. For anybody who's watched an episode, obviously, I'm a huge pro wrestling fan. The podcast is called Oh Hell Yeah because I like to say Oh Hell Yeah, but also I'm a huge Steve Austin fan, and kind of just adapted that my love of pro wrestling into the podcast a little bit. So the question I like to ask everybody, and sometimes I change the format of the question, but what I'll ask you is, are you a fan of pro wrestling? And if so, can you remember the wrestler that got you into pro wrestling at any whatever point in your life you became a fan? Who was that wrestler?
I can't say that I'm an obsessive fan or anything like that, but it's more of a childhood thing. Like I remember like on the weekends watching, and Dusty Rhodes for me. That's just my
Yeah,
generation. But yeah, Dusty Rhodes for me, easily. No
that's
doubt.
awesome. Yeah, I love that. I've had probably 15 guests so far on this podcast, and I've never gotten a repeat answer. So I love it. I mean, I personally also am a huge Dusty Rhodes fan, but it makes so much sense. I'm I'm a fan. What got me into my fandom was what you would expect someone who started watching wrestling in 83, 84. But I assume because you in 1980, you were 9 years old. So in 1975, when Dusty Rhodes was, the biggest thing in the world, you were just that perfect sweet spot for you
Yeah.
to get into
Oh yeah.
wrestling.
Oh yeah. What's
So it
funny
makes
is I
total
have a niece.
sense.
I have a niece. Her name is JC Love, and she's in the business. She's like farm system wrestler.
Okay.
Um, and they get call ups from the WWE to be like standbys here and there. We don't know if it's going to go somewhere, but we're having a lot of fun following what she's doing.
That's
And
awesome. Where does she currently wrestle at?
well, she lives in St. Petersburg, Florida, where we're from, but and her boyfriend wrestles too. But they'll make road trips to Orlando. The boyfriend makes road trips up here to Nashville here and there. But
Yeah.
JC Love, if you ever look her up, you can
Yeah, I'll
find
check her out.
Yeah,
That's great.
I'll send you
So
a link if I can find something.
I assume that she probably trained in the St. Petersburg, Tampa
Yeah.
area.
Oh yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
I mean, she's right in the heart of it, man. That's all you have to do is fucking kick a peanut out of your pocket down the road, and you'll run into 6 wrestlers in Tampa.
Hey, one time over by Tyrone Mall in St. Pete, I was at the Best Buy and we walked right by Randy Savage. Yeah, and I remember being at a restaurant and seeing these dudes with bleach blonde hair that were huge. And we just knew that's who they were. But yeah, the Hulkster out there and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, they're everywhere down there.
Oh yeah. I mean, I would say, especially WWE wrestlers where their performance center and everything's based in Tampa. I bet you 70% of that roster lives in the city of Tampa, or some probably live in Orlando. But
Totally
that section of the state is just littered with wrestlers. And people like your niece, they go to Florida. I know she's from the area, but there are a ton of semi-pro wrestlers that will go to Florida to train with aspirations of, well, why wouldn't I get myself exposed around where the business is? So it's pretty cool, man. We're Reckless Threader going on tour next month in November, and we're doing a run to Florida. And
awesome.
I don't give a shit if I have to go by myself. I am going to go find Hulk Hogan's Beach Club because I've heard it's hilarious. I'm pretty sure it's in Tampa. I'm 99.9% sure it's in Tampa, but I've heard it's hilarious. It's awesome, a bar. I think it's called Hulk Hogan's Beach Bar, whatever. It's a bar on the beach in Tampa, and fucking he has it's like a huge memorabilia shop of all his shit. And supposedly if Jimmy Hart's not there, he's there. So the possibility of going in there on a Saturday afternoon before our show in Tampa, maybe I'll see Hulk Hogan.
Why not, dude? You got nothing to lose, man. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, Jim, I appreciate you doing this.
Yeah.
And so is there anything else you want to plug? I know we've plugged the release show, plugged the album. We haven't said the release date. What's the release date?
The album's coming out November 10th. Yeah, the full length will be out November 10th for streaming, along with the single Spectrum. Very next day is the release party. So as of midnight, November 10th, people can listen to it. And we will hopefully have stuff for sale, like right out of the gate. So as Nardwar would say, doot, 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 doot.
All right, dude. Thank you so much for doing this. I will, of course, I will link all this stuff, and we are going to have a real big party for the Jimbo Bash. I'm excited.
I can't wait to see you, brother. Love you.
Yeah. Thanks, Jim. Love you too.